Hello and welcome to our live event number 1 PM edition. So we met this morning and we talked about external codes, external causes for morbidity, looking at that code set, looking at different ways that we could even answer the discussion question for week 2, right? Well, what we're going to be doing this evening is actually looking ahead. But before we go too far, again, in case you missed this morning's live event, which is recorded, by the way, I just wanted to remind you, my name is Emily. I am your instructor for this course. I'm going to be with you for the entire 10 weeks. So if you ever have any questions at all, feel free to email me, text me, send me a Canvas inbox message, whatever. Already, you guys are doing fantastic at that. I just wanted to remind you. So if you haven't already, please feel free to send me a text to 602-529-6002. That way I'll know how to get a hold of you. I'll have you on my contact list. And also, if you would like to receive your weekly reminders, so every Friday or Saturday, I send out a reminder as to what is due by the end of the week. If you would like to receive those via text, please tell me that as well in the text, and I'm happy to do that. Okay, so kind of making our way into this, let me jump through here. Don't really need to look at this again. And again, this was just kind of the introduction that I gave this morning. So again, there's my text. Please feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to help. If ever you fall behind in this course or anything like that, please just reach out to me and I'm happy to help you come up with maybe an action plan or something to get back on track. So the last thing you want to do is to be overwhelmed and maybe drop off the radar, okay? So let me know how I can help you. Okay, so kind of advancing through this, again, a little bit of a repeat from this morning. Again, this is 10-week course. They all are, right? We have, of course, HIM 202, jumping through this. Our next live events, so we had AM, and we're doing PM now for today. We will have additional live events in week 9, okay? So be looking for that in the course hub, in the announcements where I list when are those live events, okay? And as per this morning, going forward, we will have recordings following each live event. Okay, kind of continuing to make our way down here. Here we go. We are now to our objectives. Again, like I said, looked at things pertinent to week 2 this morning. Well, we're going to be looking more at things pertinent to week 3 this evening, right? Kind of makes sense that we would advance as we go through. So just in kind of a reminder, these are pulled from the syllabus. So if ever you want to know what should we be working on, what are the assignments, of course you're going to find them when you look into your module, right? You look under that particular week, you're going to find what you need. If you ever want to know, be able to see things all on one page, feel free to go to the syllabus because that's what I'm showing you right here. I've done little snippets where I pulled out weeks 1, 2, and 3. So as per everything else, they're always due at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. So whatever your time zone, just be aware that these are all per Eastern time. So at the end of the week, we start a new week every Sunday morning. Okay, so jumping through this, we can even see in the title here, a little bit small even for me. So I think if I can like lean in and look at that one, we can see that we're going to be talking about ICD-10 PCS. So what is ICD-10 PCS? Have you already looked ahead? Kind of wondered, because when we did look at the very beginning, right, I'm sure everybody went through their syllabus when we first started this course, we could see that we were going to be focusing on more detail to support, additional chapters and whatnot for ICD-10 CM. We're also going to be making that step into looking at the procedures. So let's go ahead and jump over to this where I have pulled up a fantastic resource, and you can see the link right here, and I've also put it up here. But this link, in case it's a little bit hard to see because it is, I guess, white against a light blue, it is https://www.cms.gov. Tons of great information on that Medicare website. So again, www.cms.gov/Medicare/coding/ICD-10, still going, /downloads/PCS_refman.pdf. So refman meaning reference manual. Okay, so we can see right here, this is what it looks like. This is where it takes us. And I did just do a snippet of that just a second ago, but we can see these are all the different chapters that they include on this. So we'll look at this in a little bit more detail in just a second. So back over here to what I was going to show you. And this is a snippet that I took out of that ICD-10 PCS reference manual, just to kind of give a little bit more detail about ICD-10 PCS, right? So even though we get this information when we're going through our reading, when we're working through our mind tap activities, whatever it might be, it is always helpful to even see it like stated in different ways, right? So here's another resource for you. And I tend to find this one to be a really good resource. So this one just kind of focuses on, just like ICD-10 CM, there's ICD-10 PCS. So where did this come from? Well, when it was ICD-9, procedures were included in ICD-9, but they've taken them out in ICD-10 and given it its own code set. So in the ICD-9 world, these were really up to 4 digits, where it would be digit, digit, decimal, digit, digit. Okay, and that's what it was in ICD-9. ICD-10, blow it up. It is completely different. And with this difference, it requires that the coders have just an additional level of detail and understanding when it comes to the different procedures. Also, it is so critical that our physicians are documenting to that nth degree, right? Because if you're having to code every single thing like approach and, well, okay, you're gonna kind of know body systems if you know the procedures at all. But some of it has so much detail that you're really gonna have to have some good documentation from your physician, right? Because as we all know, you can't code something just by knowing what should be done. It has to be documented. So this, again, might be a reason why you might have to query a physician. Maybe they're not giving you enough information to be able to fill out all of those characters. And I'll show you that in just a second. So here again, it's just a little bit of information about ICD-10 PCS. So it kind of talks about how long it's been around. Let me see here. I think there are some numbers that are actually kind of surprising, because here in the United States, we just started using ICD-10 in 2015. Oncology had been using it for a period of time before that, actually significantly longer before that. But we had really been taking forever in the US to get onto ICD-10. And of course, the reason for that being that our payments are tied to our coding. So there were a whole lot of stakeholders. We don't just use this ICD-10 process for documenting like research, right? Because that's what a lot of places use it for, is research. But ours is tied very much to our payment system, which just was a tremendous complexity that didn't permit us to actually just dive into it. So let's look at this just a little bit more. We can see here ICD-9 started out in 1979, so it was in place for quite a while, 1979 to 2015. Now, of course, it changed regularly, so every, I have to think about it, every October, right, every October 1, there are codes added, there are codes removed, modifications that are done. And again, October 1, because it follows the federal fiscal year. Okay, so as we work through this, we can see people in other places started using ICD-10 far in advance. So you can see down here this last sentence, ICD-10 PCS was initially released in 1998. Okay, and again, the US did not start using it until 2015. So what is so special about ICD-10 PCS, right? Well, this is what I'm talking about in terms of there is so much more detail as you go into these. So you can see here, it identifies the characters, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 character codes. So remember what I said, they used to be 2 digits, decimal, 2 digits. So they have grown significantly, and what this requires is that you have an understanding. So it starts out, you know, character number 1, section. So the first character in the code determines the broad procedure category or the section where that code is found. So when you go to the section component, you're going to have a lot of different options. Which section of the body is this, right? So you're going to have, and they have, let me see here, on this reference book. So they have the different characters that talk about the code structure, the values, character 1, section, what that really means, body system, what that really means. So again, check this out as a reference. I think it is put together fantastically. Again, we have resources within our reading that are provided within our course hub. However, it is always helpful to have lots of different resources. And then some, you may find that some of them are put together a little bit easier. And maybe some of them will speak to you a little bit more because of their organization. Okay, so be sure to check this out. But I'm going to kind of go back to this over here. And again, I took some snippets. So it's going to reference a code that we can't really see on here because, again, I took this from that document. Okay, so here we can see there's going to be different sections, and there's a bunch of different ones that you'll find in the reference manual. But you start off with sections. So identifying, what section would this code be found in. Okay, and actually, let me go ahead and go to, you see how, I wish these had hyperlinks. So bear with me while I scroll. So we're going to get down here to where we can see the different sections. So here we have, this is talking about, oops, I'm trying to get down to where we have the tables. And as I keep scrolling and scrolling, it's going to complete a code. Okay, so here you have different sections, right? So it's talking about, what types of sections are there. So it's saying there's, you could say it's the medical surgical section, okay, and then there's different things within that. So as you can see, it can get very complex. Now, a lot of times you're going to have encoder tools, things like that, which are going to drive these. But again, it's really helpful if you can kind of see these different types of things. So you can have here the medical surgical section, but then it breaks down within that. So you're going to have different section values. Okay, so again, this one is a 0 for the medical surgical. So you're going to see a 0 in that first character box. Now it's going to go on to the second character box, which is, whoops, it's a little bit hard every time I put the mouse up there, which is the body system. So let me jump back over here. Okay, so we have this one. Once you go through the code and you identify which section, you're now going to look for what body system. So that second character defines the body system. So the general physiological system, or again, that anatomical region, right? So if you're talking about, well, let's get some examples here, the lower arteries or the central nervous system, the respiratory system. There could be a lot more examples of that, but you're really trying to narrow it down. So in this particular example, you started out with, okay, we're gonna be doing section med-surg, we know that's a 0. So the first thing it's a leading 0, okay? The next one is gonna be body system. Well, what body system? Again, there's a number, a single digit, that correlates to that body system. It's going to have to be between 0 and 9, right? Because it's a single digit. Next up, you're going to have root operation. So this root operation looks at what type of procedure this is, right? So here it gives some examples. Again, some examples of root operations are a bypass or a drainage or a reattachment, right? That's where you're talking about really that verb. What is it that you're doing? That's going to be the root operation. Then you're going to get more specific, right? So you're just kind of starting out, for example, if you're looking at this one and you're saying, okay, this is part of the med-surg, and maybe the body system could be, I don't know, central nervous system, and we're going to be doing a root operation of a bypass. The next thing we're going to look at is we're going to take that verb and now start putting nouns and adjectives with it, right? So that we can start describing what is that procedure. We have the root operation. What comes next, and that is the body part. So the fourth character defines the body part or the specific, again, anatomical site, trying to say that 3 times, where the procedure was performed. So the body system, that second character, just gives you like a general idea, right? Again, it was something like the lower arteries or the central nervous system, whatever it might be. When we get to body part, we're now gonna like nail what was it that was that specific something on which we did that root operation. Okay, so again, breaking it down, there's a lot of options. They're saying here examples of body parts might be kidneys, tonsils, the thymus. It's actually a lot of body parts, right? So making our way through that, you now identify what is that root operation. What was the body part that you did that root operation on? And then now we're going to talk about how did you do it? Okay, this is the approach. So how did you go about actually doing this root operation? So the fifth character defines the approach or the technique used to reach the procedure site. So there are 8 different approach values that are used in that medical surgical section. So again, what you pick first, you kind of like, have you ever done one of those choose your own adventure? Depending on the decisions you make here, changes your options over here. Well, whether you've done that or not, this is kind of like that. Okay, so kind of making your way through, it says that here we have in the medical surgical section to define an approach. Examples of approach include open or percutaneous endoscopic, right? So you can have a lot of different ways in which you can approach something. So as you can see, again, we are describing more and more about this root operation. Okay, our character number 6 of 7 is looking at the device. So was there a device that was included in this? Okay, And there are 4 basic categories for device. You can see them listed here: grafts and prosthesis, implants, simple or mechanical appliances, or electronic appliances. Again, there's a lot more detail about that in this reference manual, but then also within your reading. So again, very important to have a good understanding of the procedure that you're coding and that your physician has done a stellar job documenting. Okay, so kind of continuing along here, we now go to this thing called qualifier. So this 7th character defines a qualifier for the code. So there are many times, in fact, I see this all the time, that there is no qualifier, okay, in which there's a value for that too. And this is usually going to be your alpha. So depending on the previous value selected, you're going to have a choice on the qualifier. So in this example, it's saying, which is a code I'm going to show you in just a second, there is no specific qualifier, which means that then the value is the no qualifier value. Okay, so let's take a look at, oops, as we make our way here, this right here. So looking at specifically excision of right lower arm and wrist tendon, open approach. So that's the example. Here again is the way to find the reference manual where I've pulled this from. So that's cms.gov. Okay, so you can see right here, character number 1, a little bit small, but we can see, okay, it was medical surgical, so that one correlates with a 0. Then next up, we have the character number 2, body system. So we had identified, again, we can see in the narrative that they've given us for this example, that it's going to be a tendon. So here we place tendons right here in character number 2 for body system. But don't worry, we're going to get more specific. Okay, so next up is our root operation. What is it that we're actually doing? Well, we can see right here, excision, right? It's kind of our verb. That's our root operation. So we're doing an excision. So we are excising something. Okay, next up is the body part. Let's talk about what part of the body are we doing this excision on, right? We know it's a tendon, but we have tendons all over our body. Let's describe it further. Okay, great. So we can see here, value number 5 equates to lower arm and wrist right side. Okay, so we can see right here that it gets very specific. Okay, and then on to character number 5, which is approach. Thank goodness in our example, they gave us significant detail. So we have right here, open approach. If ever you have an operative report and you're coding a procedure and the doctor has not gone into enough detail to describe the approach, you're going to have to query the doctor and ask them for that detail. Okay, so as we continue along here, so we have now identified that the approach is open, and that is a 0. Next up, we have the device. Well, in this particular one, it's not like we're putting in a pacemaker or a metal rod or anything like that, right? So there is no device. As it happens, no device is going to equate to a letter Z. So that is what aligns with no device in this one. And then finally, we get to qualifier. There is no qualifier on this one. It's not even an option. And again, there will be more detail when you actually encounter one that has one. So no qualifier, that is a Z as well. So now you've gone from, you know, what we would usually see in terms of a code being, again, 2 digits, decimal, 2 digits. So now look at this. We have 7 values, which actually describes that whole code all the way through. But again, you can really see the importance of having that stellar physician documentation. Okay, so kind of looking at this, if you had something like this, you know, how would you code this? Well, again, a great way to do it would be to use something like, well, you could use a coding reference book. You actually have the code book, so that would be an even better place to look at. But one of the benefits of having a document like this is that you're going to get a lot of detail. Okay, so it's going to kind of explain it for you even more. Let me jump back over here to this. Okay, but we can see like this one, for example, if we had the procedure is a tube thoracostomy, chest tube insertion by incision for drainage of malignant pleural effusion from right side of pleural cavity. Okay, very important to be up on your anatomy and physiology, right? Because that's going to help you kind of make your way through this. So as we can see, like what section of the body would this be in? Well, it's medical surgical, okay? So we already know that that's going to be that 0, right? Because we've had that before. Okay, on to the next one, we have, you know, the body system. So when you're looking at a body system, it's going to give you options. What's going to be the most viable option for what's being described for you? And in this case, it's actually going to be anatomic regions general, okay, because it is kind of spanning a space. We have here root operation. So what is it that we're doing? Well, we can see right here that it is drainage. Okay. Body part, the pleural cavity, because we know that that's where it says right here, drainage of a pleural effusion from the right side of the pleural cavity. So then we'll use the code that corresponds with, or the value, sorry, that corresponds with pleural cavity. The approach, so on this one, they didn't actually say the approach in our example narrative, but we can kind of, again, it's what you know about it, and then also what the doctor will describe in more detail in an op report. Clearly, this procedural statement, not as comprehensive as an op report. Okay, so making our way through again, what about device? Well, we'll know that you have to do an insertion, that you have to drain the device. So there would be a drainage device. And then what about a qualifier? No, there's not a qualifier on this one. And again, you would find that as you make your way down that kind of choose your own adventure. Okay, so as we can see, as we jump over here, I've actually filled it in. So this is what it aligns. So hopefully you can go back and double check this, look within your reading, use your code books, use the reference manual, see if this makes sense to you, see if it can help you drive to the next level on your codes. Okay, so as we can see, there are, this is actually really kind of something that a lot of people enjoy. If you love things like Sudoku, right? You love finding the answers to things, to doing a little bit of research, piecing things together. This actually makes PCS coding fun. I've had a lot of people that say that they thrive on PCS coding. They love it more than CPT, because CPT is more, well, it's totally different, right? But the way you find things too, and the information you need to find them is different. There's such a level of detail when it comes to doing these ICD-10 PCS that it can be something you either love or like seriously don't love. Okay, so as we make our way through this, that is, really our first steps into ICD-10 PCS. So you're going to see in our week 3 discussion question, then we start talking about PCS. What is it? How is it different from ICD-9? Where did it come from? A little bit of detail on it, and then it's going to ask you to give a coding scenario, right? So you can find a coding scenario, but you're going to want to break it down. Something like this, right? So say, okay, for this character, it was this code because that means this thing, okay? So, and again, you can really see as you look at the explanation here on the far right, you totally just described your code. So it really is kind of fun. You can almost look backwards to check your work. So, all right, on that note, I hope that you enjoyed our PM edition. If you have any questions at all on ICD-10 PCS or anything else from our 202 class, please feel free to reach out to me. Again, my text is 602-529-6002, and I'm happy to respond to email and Canvas inbox messaging as well. All right, have a great rest of your week. I hope that you enjoy the next few weeks in our course. And again, reach out if you need anything, and I will see you much later, right? Feels like it's so far away. However, oops, as I try to scroll back to this, week 9 will be here before you know it. All right, have a great evening.